Congrats. Man.
How you doing, man?
I'm
Great
doing good.
to see you.
Good to see you guys.
So who won today, Coach?
The Rams won.
Yes.
The Rams won.
No, I thought it was good. I mean, it was a good back and forth. I mean, when you're not really playing tackle and you don't have the ability to account for those things, I thought what I was really pleased with is our defense got a couple turnovers. Quentin Lake punches the ball out. You see the tip. I don't know who ended up coming up with the one tip where we threw it late over the middle. And then, Desjuan Johnson does a great job reading out as a contained rusher to be able to pick off a screen. So that was big for the defense. There was a lot of I thought the offense moved the ball up and down the field. So it was good back and forth, and that's what you want to see. I want to see good, clean football. I thought Sean Hockley and his crew did a good job of being able to officiate, and you try to simulate it as close to possible, but when you're not tackling or taking guys to the ground, I want to see good, clean operation, good communication, and I thought that was reflected on both ends. It's never perfect, but It's August, 3rd?
Yeah, right.
So we like that. We don't want to be too far ahead of the curve.
So training camp has sort of ended now. What's the big takeaway from being here with the guys? What do you take away and bring with you as you continue?
Yeah, training camp isn't what it used to be when you were doing your thing, Kirk. And we'll still stay in training camp mode. I don't know what training camp is, these days, but what it means for us is when we have a walkthrough in the morning, practice in the afternoon. Now, when we get an opportunity to go practice against some of these other teams like tomorrow, that's the only thing that we do. We try to really get as many reps as possible for our first group, where you're almost simulating a game, but it's in the controlled settings where you're getting normal down and distance. You're getting some second and longs, third downs, red area work, 2-minute, some move the ball, but it's predetermined, down and distances that are scripted, so it's not exactly replicable in terms of what a game is, but man, it's great work against another team, and it is in a controlled setting where you're not tackling, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes.
There was a point last year where you guys were 3-6 and turned the entire thing around in just an amazing way. A lot of those same guys are here now. What can you take from that and use this year?
Mental toughness, resilience. I think the best part is those guys really stayed the course. Everybody always asked, what was the difference? There really wasn't one. Obviously, we got some guys back healthy, but I think the most important thing was guys got better, and they just kept committing to the process, and they weren't really worried about whatever the percentages were that we weren't going to make the playoffs. They just said, let's get better, let's focus on what we can control, and it led to them being able to finish the year the right way. And I think even, when you say you finished 7-1, one of the most proud moments that I was the way we went and competed against Baltimore, who I thought was playing as well as anybody in the season, the way that they were playing at home. And so we can use that, but every year's a new year. I've learned that in a very humbling way, but I like the way the guys are working. I like the way that they're really, there's a callus that I think you need to formate during training camp, both physically and mentally. And the mental toughness is something that these skills can be developed. It was a very specific part of our onboarding process, and I think you'll see that reflected. And ultimately, there's been a couple examples of some guys that we've lost some guys early on. Now, not for the long haul, but they're not out here. You'd like to be able to have everybody, but in the meantime, let's get guys better and let's look at it through a positive lens.
No matter how great Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant was, Phil Jackson would challenge them. Matthew Stafford, the resume speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You as a head coach, your resume speaks for itself, but how do you challenge Matthew Stafford in year 16?
Well, I think this, Kirk, and what Phil would tell you is that the best want to be coached, the best demand to be coached. And I think you can do it where, hey, you're right there with them, and it's demanding, but it's never disrespectful and demeaning. It's because I know what our guys are capable of. And I always tell them I'm not going to apologize for having high standards, but I'm right there in it with you. Our job is to try to be able to provide solutions for how we can play at the highest level, put us in positions to be successful. Certainly our guys have bailed me out a whole lot, but I think we want to have our core values and principles that guide our everyday approach. And I remember talking to my grandpa about, when he was working with the 49ers and he was a part of 5 world championship teams, what was the separator? Our best players and our great leaders and examples, they were the example. They modeled the way, just like Aaron Donald did, just like a lot of other great players that have been here and gone and come. And so, that's what we've got with Matthew and a lot of these other guys.
There were moments last year that were very nerve-wracking. Field
which
goals,
ones?
Extra points, those were scary. Got a brand new kicker in here. Tell me about Josh Carty.
He's done a great job. I think Tanner Brown has as well. We'll see when we get into the preseason. We want to be able to try to create some good stress for him. We want to try to create some good stress out in these practice settings, but he's consistent. I think when you look at the location, how consistent his stroke or swing is, if you will. I think one of the things that you don't take for granted too is how important really all three are in terms of the snap, hold, and then the kick. Mm-hmm. So, everybody just looks at the kicker, but when you look at the importance, I think you're seeing Alex Ward take steps in the right direction as a second-year long snapper. We missed him in the latter part of the year. Ethan Evans as a second-year holder. Those are huge parts, but both Josh Carty and Tanner Brown have done a good job. But Josh is a stud, and I'm excited about seeing how he continues to handle things as we move forward.
I'm all about operational things, and maybe it's just the football geek in me, Coach, but how do you handle preseason this year? Usually you hand over the play-calling duties to some of your assistant coaches. Also, new defensive coordinator Chris Shula, is he upstairs? Is he going to be downstairs? Those types of things in terms of how the coaching staff will be distributed throughout game day.
Sure, it's a great question. I think the first thing that I think will be cool this year is with Aubrey Pleasant becoming our assistant head coach, a job that is earned, and he has done a great job for me to be able to lean on him. He's going to coach that second preseason game.
Okay.
I'll be up in the coach's booth with those guys, but he'll be able to, lead and do a great job. I think that'll be a great experience for him, and then he'll talk to you guys after the game, so I don't have to do that either. But so he'll do that. Chris, being a first-year play caller, he's going to call the preseason games.
Okay.
I think it's good to work the operation. We still are not going to play if guys have been veterans or played in this league, and we're counting on them, they're not playing in the preseason. That's the approach that we've taken. People know that. We still haven't determined what we're going to do with our rookies that we're counting on, but Chris will call it, and then I think it provides a good opportunity to have some of our different offensive coaches get that experience. And it's not even about the results as much as the process, because we are with a limited inventory of plays, got some different guys, but I think that's a great way to be able to, help guys get chances that they wouldn't get otherwise. Zach Robinson got a chance to call a preseason game last year. He's now a coordinator. It was the same thing with guys like Shane Waldron, Matt LaFleur, Zach Taylor. So, I think that's been good, and then you guys can at least have 3 weeks not to criticize me.
Wait, when was the last time Sean McVay was in the coach's booth during a game?
You know what? The last time that I was in the coach's booth was 2016 with the Washington. Now I can't say their name.
Yeah, exactly.
The now
Football
Commanders.
Club, Commanders, yes.
When I just had a heartbreaking loss, I put us in a bad spot to the New York Giants. We missed out on the playoffs, and the Rams were dumb enough to hire me as the head coach after that.
Hey, it's awesome seeing you, man.
Hey, good
Excited
to see you guys.
for the season.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right,
Good
good to see you guys always.